Penn State fans are going to be expecting a little bit of a different defensive schematics going on for the Nittany Lions this season in 2026. Not only is Matt Campbell the head coach new, but DeAnton Lynn, the new defensive coordinator coming over from USC, is going to be new as well. We here at the Big Ten Huddle are talking Penn State football, presented and brought to you by FanDuel, and we have Chris here with us once again to talk about the Nittany Lions. Chris, you wanted to talk about the defensive schematics and some of the things that the fans can expect with DeAnton Lynn as the defensive coordinator for the Nittany Lions this season. What are some key points of the defense that you want to acknowledge this season?
So the biggest difference is it's going to be a lot different for the Iowa State players compared to what they were used to playing. And I know the linebackers, the DN, they're very excited to be in a different scheme. Reason being is when they're at Iowa State, Jon Heacock was their defensive coordinator. And in 2017, basically, they had a bye week. They were playing a standard 4-2 defense, doing okay with it. But in 2017, they had a bye week, and they're in the middle of the year, in the middle of the season, and their defensive coordinator actually switched to a 3-3 stack look, a 3-3-5 stack. So what that was, why this is going to be so different is because basically instead of having like a 4-2 with that fifth nickel defender lined up wide guarding a receiver, he went to a 3-3 stack, wanting to still have full support against the run, to have like a seventh man come up in the box while not sacrificing that extra man in coverage, because being in the Big 12 with the air raid offenses. So he played a star safety position right in the middle of the field. Now, the big difference is when he went to that defense, the way the linebackers were used was they were almost just like extra defensive linemen. One of the events I was at, like Cooper Ebel was there, and he said they can't wait to play, that they're just used like an extra defensive lineman. They can't wait to be able to play like regular linebackers, where they have a little more freedom to roam around, use their instincts, go and make plays, run sideline to sideline if they have to. Because, like I said, at Iowa State, it was all just plugging gaps, which, obviously you're doing a 4-2 as well, you're going to have assignments. But the 3-3, it was just plugging gaps. It was just a lot of commotion up front with stunts, twists, and they're just plugging gaps, like not a lot of freedom to roam around and make plays. So they're very excited to be able to play like regular linebackers. Now, the other thing is their defensive ends. So in the 3-3, there's one, like I'll use their one defensive end that's going to start for him this year is Ikena Izuku. And he didn't put up big numbers at Iowa State, and he's been there 3 years now or something like that. Supposedly he's having a great spring, looks great at Penn State, and they're expecting some big things from him. Now, a lot of times you hear this and it's overhyping guys. We'll see. But part of the reason they didn't play, or Akina didn't put up big numbers, was he was almost like a D tackle himself. He kind of played like a 4-eye, where he was lined up to the inside shade of the tackle, like his inside shoulder. He wasn't a true edge defender lined up on the edge, rushing around the edge, because that was his assignment. So this new defense, when they go to a 4-2, they are going, the DNs are going to be able to rush like regular DNs around the edge, and the linebackers are going to have more freedom to roam around and make plays. So basically, also what I was told in my conversation with him is so the two starting linebackers this year are going to be Tony Rojas and Cooper Ebel. When I asked about Caleb Bacon's going to play a ton too. When I asked about Caleb Bacon's a pretty good pass rusher. He's a linebacker. He's a pretty good blitzer and a decent pass rusher. They are going to go at times, switch it up in a game and go to a 3-4. And when they go to a 3-4, Bacon's going to come in and oftentimes be used as a pass rusher as well. So that's 4-2 base defense. Switch it up at times. 3-4. Caleb Bacon going to be implemented as, part pass rusher, part linebacker. So we'll see how it works out. Now, I will say this. I'm going to go like pretty quick here and give a basic position by position breakdown of where they're at, what to expect. So for the defense, so Cooper Ebel, Caleb Bacon, the Iowa State linebackers they're not like super athletic freaks like a Tony Rojas flying around. They're your old school, big boys, thumpers in the middle. They look like they should be sound, smart football players, fulfilling their assignments, being in the right place. That's what I get. Like, that's what I see from them. Cooper Ebel's huge. He's 6'4". He's got to be close to 240. And the kid's just jacked. I mean, like I said, when I say old school thumper, he's jacked. Caleb Bacon's the same way. The only negative is the one concern I have with these Iowa State linebackers, even though I'm hoping they're sound, solid football players, is, and shout out to Landon Tangwall. I watched one of his videos when he did a breakdown on these guys, and he found this stat out, is Cooper Ebel for his career has a 23.6% missed tackle rate. And it's horrible. I mean, it's really bad. Caleb Bacon has an 18.7 missed tackle rate in 2025 last season. That's not great either. So for reference, an average missed tackle rate in college football is for Division I, Power 4, is 10%. It's about around 10 point some percent is what the average missed tackle rate is, for linebackers playing Division I. Mm-hmm. So are they going to be like a Tyler Elson out there missing tackles? Are they going to be hopefully better than that? Are they going to be sure up their tackling, improve? But that's the only concern I have at with some of the Iowa State linebackers. So I'll just go quick position by position now with the rest of them. Defensive ends. So I already said Azuka was going to start. Keena Azuka is going to start. It's almost penciled in right now. The other starting defensive end is going to be Ivan Camacho, who was a true freshman last year, did a lot of nice things, has a lot of potential. Campbell loves these big body, big, thick defensive ends, preferably more over your smaller, shorter, quick speed rushers. And that's kind of what Ivan is. He's a big, thick guy. He's 6'3", around 250. Probably closer to 260 by now. And he's not good at any one, or not. He's not elite in any one area, but he's just good all the way around. He doesn't have a great burst, but he has a good burst, good get off. He has a good bend. He's physical. He has good hands. They're expecting big things from him. Then they have the one guy everybody's excited to see. He got hurt last year, and I think he just started getting back to practice, or he's close to returning, is Max Granville. Max Granville was their highly rated defensive end. He's their most explosive pass rusher. He is as explosive as they get. He's around 6'3", I think up around the 250 range as well. I mean, he's jacked up. And his high school film was sick. I mean, he was explosive, twitched up, physical, and he's going to be a big part of the rotation. He's going to be, I don't know how many guys are going to rotate. He's going to be a big part of the rotation, though. The other guy I would mention is Alexander McPherson. He was a transfer, came in from Colorado. Really like McPherson, too. McPherson, in a way, is similar to Camacho. Now, McPherson's bigger. He's actually like 6'6" and about 260 pounds. But their game's similar, where he's not great he's not elite in any one area, but he's good all the way around. Like for a bigger defensive end, he's got a pretty good get off, pretty good burst. Some good pass rush moves, could use his hands well. Could even bump him down inside and play like a 3 tech if they have to, which he did that a little bit, I believe, in Colorado. So Kina Izuka, Von Camacho, Max Granville, Alexander McPherson, they're going to be your main defensive ends to watch out for. Linebacker, as I said, it's going to be Cooper Ebel at the mic. Tony Rojas will be playing the other linebacker, pretty much going to be a 4-2, rotate to 3-4 at times. Tony Rojas, I think, is probably the most important player on this entire defense. He's back now. He's healthy. He's going full bore after his injury. He has to stay healthy because they don't have a lot of just pure athletes that could just fly around and make plays with the athleticism and speed like Rojas. I don't know why. So, there's some younger linebackers like Cam Smith that I think he played a little bit last year as a true freshman, and he's more of a smaller but athletic guy that could run sideline to sideline. Faster linebacker that could cover some ground. I don't know how much he's going to play. You hear some good things on him, but when you hear about the linebackers for this year, it's Tony Rojas, it's Cooper Ebel, it's Caleb Bacon, and even Caleb Brazina, the other Iowa State linebacker, is probably going to see some time too. Alex Tash was a true freshman last year as well, I believe, and he got injured, unfortunately. And he was starting to come on, and not sure where he's at, returning from his injury, when he's going to be ready. If he does get back, when he'll be ready. Corners, go to cornerback now. So the main priority they did when it came to retention was they really focused on the corner room. They didn't have to go out and really get many corners in the portal, so that they really wanted to retain their best corners. AJ Harris, he had a down year. They let him go. They didn't care. Darius Dixon's going to be a starter. Opposite Darius Dixon is going to be Davian Collins. Darius Dixon, another true freshman, a lot of promise. Looked good when he spare time last year when he came in. And Davian Collins he's a tough, physical, pretty good speed corner, but he got beat a lot last year. There's a statistic with him where he gave up, he was amongst the leaders in giving up 50-50 balls where he had to go up, and he just gave up a lot of 50-50 balls where he had just receivers just one above him and caught the ball. Hopefully he's gotten a little better in that area. A guy I really like that's going to be part of the rotation and should play a lot, I think, is Jameer Joseph. He was also a true freshman last year. Ton of potential, pretty highly ranked recruit when he come out. Just good all-around corner, good speed, good size. A lot of potential there. I think potentially he's probably better than Davian Collins, but they're all going to rotate. A guy that they love because of his versatility is, two of them, I guess, but Zion Tracy. Zion Tracy is going to be all over the field because they're going to be using probably 3 safeties. Zion Tracy could be safety or a corner. And because of that versatility, they like him a lot. So I would expect him to start, along with the other 2 safeties would be Marcus Neal and Jeremiah Cooper. Now, Jeremiah Cooper he was also injured last year. He's on his way back, recuperating. He's similar to Tracy. He has cornerback skills. In fact, I think he started off at Iowa State as a corner, and they moved him to safety. And he's a good complement to Marcus Neal because he's kind of the opposite. Marcus Neal is almost just like an extra linebacker. He's going to be triggering down in the runs and just flying down the box, flying down, wreaking havoc wherever the ball carrier's going. I don't know how good he is in coverage, but because, like I said, his forte is more just a box linebacker, very aggressive, attacking the ball. And that's I didn't mention defensive tackle. So defensive tackle, the one definite starter is going to be Kano Williams. Their defensive tackles are huge. That's a staple of D'Anton Lynn defenses. He's totally different than what you've seen with Franklin's defenses, where Franklin Light would take bigger defensive ends like an Akeem Beeman and like put a few more pounds on them, and you'd have like a 280-pound defensive tackle. All these guys, all their starting defensive tackles and guys that are going to be part of rotation are all well over 300 pounds. So Kano Williams, a couple of years ago, he had a really good year. He was doing really well at UCLA. He was putting up some good numbers. Then he got injured, came back. I don't think he was fully healthy last year from what they're saying. He was still recuperating a little bit. So they're expecting, some big things from him. Now, the other guy I think that will start, the other starting defensive tackle. It really doesn't matter. These guys are all going to rotate in. But it's going to be between I don't know how to say his name, Sayal Tupukai or whatever. He's the other defensive tackle from UCLA. This guy's huge as well. He's like over 330 pounds. I don't see as much movement skills in him as I do some of the other defensive tackles. He's just a big body in the middle that will be eating up double teams. But I don't see great movement skills in him where he could get into the backfield a lot, rush the passer. He's just a big body, just a big body in the middle. Supposedly having a pretty good spring though. A guy a lot of people like, and a guy that could be really good is the other potential starter is Nodeem. I forget how you. What's his Nodeem? What's his what the heck's his first name? Armstrong. Yeah, I confused his last name, his first name. So Armstrong.
That's kind of a last name, first name.
Yeah, I'm drawing a blank. So this guy is huge. He's loved in the locker room. He's one of the leaders that are always making guys laugh, having a good time. Just really, really a strong leader in that room. And he had this guy came in. I don't know what he played at last year at Oklahoma State, but he's bulked up to over 310, 315 pounds now. And he's only 6'1". Might be a hair just a little under 6'2". He's explosive. You watch his film, even back in high school, the guy could move. He's a guy that has a lot of twitch for a big body guy like that, for his size. He's got a good get off. He's got a lot of twitch, and he's as strong as an ox. I mean, the guy's as thick and muscle bound. I mean, he is as strong as an ox. All these guys could take on the double team, eat up their gaps, and to free up the linebackers and the safeties coming down. So hopefully Kano Williams is back 100%. I hope that Armstrong Nodeem is as good as people are talking about, and he's starting to be hyped up for. The talent's there. The talent's there. What's key, and you would think every coach would do this, but they don't. D'Anton Lynn defenses, he builds around his strengths. So, whatever the player's strengths are, he builds or he focuses on them. He's not trying to be a Jim Knowles where, you're trying to fit a round peg in a square hole if you don't have the personnel for it, which Penn State pretty much didn't last year. Their D tackles sucked. They got pushed all over the place. Rojas got hurt. It wasn't a good fit. D'Anton Lynn, he uses a term, obnoxious communication. Everything is communicate to an extreme. Everybody's on the same page. He slows it down in practice. Builds around their strengths. And on paper, they got a lot of talent on paper. No idea how it's all going to play out, the mix of, Penn State, Iowa State guys. But on paper, they look pretty good. They should have one of the better defensive back rooms in the country. A lot of talent there. Linebacker, like I said, Rojas should have a huge year, has to stay healthy. Bacon and Ebel, we'll see, now that they're going to be playing a different type of linebacker and have that freedom to roam. Are they going to be Is their athleticism going to be enough for the Big Ten, where if they have to cover a back coming out of the backfield? But on paper, they have a very good team. The one issue that some people are concerned about is having that pure pass rusher. I'm not as concerned about it. I think Camacho could get, like I said, he doesn't have an elite burst, but he's pretty. It's not bad. He has a pretty good twitch, pretty good get off. And Max Granville is as twitchy and explosive as could be. So I'm not as worried about it. Just have to wait and see what happens, But that's pretty much what I got.
Yeah, it's gonna be very interesting. I think honestly, like Tony Rojas might be your best pass rusher out of those guys. I mean, Caleb Bacon is gonna have some of that to him as well. So, but Tony Rojas coming off an injury again this season. I look at this defense, man, and I mean, I talked about it on my one episode with Zach, and I guess I'll talk about it again here. I just don't get the Iowa State East, narrative that's out there, especially for the defense. Yes, they got a number of Iowa State players, but man, there's a lot of these players that are not going to be starting, and I'm not trying to take shots at them like that or anything, but like you're going to have Collins and Tracy and Dixon starting in the secondary, and they were all at Penn State last season. And like you said, even if you don't have Collins starting, you're probably going to have, what was his last name? Jameer Joseph, that's right. You're probably gonna have him starting. You got Tony Rojas, and then at linebacker with one of the Iowa State guys next to him, and the Iowa State guys will rotate in, like you said. And then on the defensive line, like Armstrong's from Oklahoma State, Keanu Williams and Tapaki are both from UCLA. McPherson's from Colorado. I mean, you got a couple of guys there from Iowa State who are coming in, but Max Granville, I'm with you. The dude's a stud. He's gonna be awesome if he can just put it together for the season. And I just look at all this and I say, all right, there are some Iowa State pieces here, but D'Anton Lynn, he's coming in with a number of players from Penn State previously that Penn State really wanted to keep. We'll see what AJ Harris is this year at Indiana. I assume he's going to be good because Kirksey just apparently has magical powers to take anybody, do anything with him. But we'll see.
I was thinking about that the other day because like he did have a down year for us, and he was this big, huge. He was close to like a 5-star, I believe. Went to Georgia, spent his true freshman year at Georgia, transferred to Penn State. First year at Penn State, he wasn't too bad. But last year, he definitely got beat a lot, had a down year, even got pulled. At one point during the season, he got yanked and benched. Mm-hmm. But I like you said, he has skill, he has potential. You just know, like going out there to Indiana, like you said, it's like it just works there. Like everything just falls in place. But they execute so well.
Yeah, and I mean, we don't even know if he's going to start at Indiana because the guy that was there last season, I forget what his name is off the top of my head, but he's actually battling for that spot. Jamari Sharp is going to be the starting cornerback one there, and then the other guy, what his name is. He was battling for the spot in the spring, so we'll see if he wins it in the fall. For all we know, AJ Harris might not even be starting in Indiana.
Wow. So when I didn't watch the full episode, I heard some clips and stuff, and you mentioned it. When the guy, whoever it was, is saying Penn State's gonna be like Iowa State East, is he saying that based off of because of all the transfers, or is it he's saying it more based off of like Campbell's approach of finding under the radar guys? And
no, I mean this is basic stupid narratives from fans that just look at the numbers and they say, 20 plus Iowa State players.
Yeah,
people don't oftentimes look into it enough to actually have a really good opinion. They just say, 20 plus Iowa State players must be Iowa State East.
Yeah, no, that's ridiculous. And the thing is, like, a lot of these Iowa State players are pretty damn good players. Like you're taking, you're taking the best of the Iowa State play. I mean, not just the best. Obviously, they took a lot of guys, but the best of the Iowa State guys are going to be the ones on the field with then Penn State talent. So it's not going to be anything like Iowa State East, not in that regard anyways. And a good example of this, and we'll talk about this next week more, maybe when I come on, is if you look at the offense. Okay, so like, again, we'll touch on this when we get back. The quarterback, Rocco Beck, in the system brings him. He has two good, solid receivers. They're Iowa State guys, plus Kobe Howard. Christian Hansen is going to be one of the starting backs, carrying the ball a lot. So people might see that and say, oh, Iowa State East going to be very similar. Well, guess what? Almost every 4 of the 5 starters on the offensive line are not going to be Iowa State guys. Huge difference playing behind a good, what I think will be a good, talented Penn State offensive line as opposed to an Iowa State offensive line. That it all starts up front. So it ain't going to be Iowa State.
That's what Kirk Cinetti did at Indiana. He used the guys from Indiana there because Bob Bostad was there. It's obviously Matt Campbell's not keeping the offensive line coach from Penn State, but he's kept the guys there, and he decided, all right, I'm going to use my JMU guys to fill in around it at wide receiver, running back, kind of the skill positions. Because the skill positions at a group of 6 school, some of those guys can play. You're seeing those guys move up. You're seeing FCS guys move up to the Big Ten at the skill positions can play. The hardest part is when they're on the line of scrimmage because they just don't typically have the twitch and the speed and the agility at that type of size to be able to play. Yep.
No, I agree 100%. And that's, like I said, big difference. It's, excited, we're excited for the season and get going and see what happens. Like I said, potentially, I agree with you. They could potentially, I predicted 9-3 on the season, but realistically, I wouldn't be surprised if they go 10-2 or something like that and get double-digit wins and get into the playoffs. And yeah, obviously, I'm the furthest thing from a homer. Everybody knows that, but it's just a very easy schedule. It is what it is. I'll call it like it is. It's a very easy schedule on paper. We're as talented as just about any team we're playing, with the exception of maybe Michigan. It's not like Michigan is loaded with more. I don't think they're probably loaded with more talent than Penn State right now. It's probably close to even. So. USC is, they're going to be Jaden Mayava looked pretty good and really came on last year. They're going to be obviously pretty talented. They lost some key pieces. So other than that, Washington's decent, but I don't think they have more skill overall, more talent overall than Penn State. But it's everything sets up good for this first year. And hopefully he, has a good showing, and double-digit wins would be great.
8.5 win total on FanDuel for Penn State. They're actually favored with an odds of -152 to go over on their win total. So for all those people that think it's Iowa State East, go bet the under. If you really think that. Spoiler alert! Don't think you're gonna win that though. I think the over is probably gonna hit.
I would definitely. I would even pay the extra money with the -150, whatever it was, and I would definitely take the over there. Mm-hmm. It's. You want
to look at any schematics or anything like that before we get out of here?
Yeah, I know you mentioned pull them up. Yeah, so if you want to pull that up, like we're talking about, what this was just Jon Heacock showing how they changed from a 4-2 to a 3-3, why they did it, how it helped, and it kind of should show a little bit what I was saying about the linebackers mainly having to plug gaps and like just stun around and loop around and plug different run gaps inside as opposed to being regular linebackers.
Yeah, okay, so this is from a channel called the Coordinator Project. Good channel here. Chris just sent it to me, and I actually was looking at a couple other things. Does a good job from everything I tell. Very quickly looking at it. But the Coordinator Project, go give them a follow since we're using their content here. And, this is before mid-season 2017. You noted mid-season 2017 was kind of when they switched to that 3-3-5. This is before that. You still got the 4-3 going on here. So I'll play it, and then we'll skip ahead a little bit, and then we'll see the 3-3-5.
Against Iowa with 4 defensive linemen at the first level and 3 linebackers stacked behind them. When they faced spread sets back in those early years, Heacock did about what you'd expect him to do. He took a linebacker off the field and replaced him with a 5th defensive back, putting him in a 4-2 nickel look. Again, none of this was particularly revolutionary or innovative in 2016. In 2017, though, so with season is but sure opponents. Although the Cyclones' depth chart still suggests that they base out of a 4-3, in reality they play most of the game in their own unique version of the 3-3 stack. So here we see that they've got 3 defensive linemen at the first level and then 3 linebackers stacked behind them. This 3-3 is obviously a base nickel look with just those 6 box defenders. Like a lot of 3-3 teams, though, instead of playing with the classic nickelback walked out toward any extra receiving threats, the extra defensive back in this look will be this robber safety right here, who Iowa State calls the star. That player is really a hybrid safety middle linebacker position, and he'll play most of the game from this position in the intermediate hole behind the linebackers and in between the other two safeties. From this position, he can fulfill a couple of different functions. In the passing game, this will put him in a good spot to rob any crossing routes that attack over the middle of the field. In the run game, the defensive line and linebackers should be able to protect that guy from any blockers in the box, freeing him up to pursue to the edge against outside runs, as we're seeing right
here. See how the linebackers are just fitting more so than like
defense really stands out, though, even in comparison to...
Yeah, no, totally. Yeah.
I mean, I know it's just a brief description there, but that's the main difference. These linebackers are really excited to be able to finally play like regular linebackers. But I gotta say something. Even though this is Penn State show, I got to give a huge shout out to that Jon Heacock, because I watched this and that guy really was innovative. To be able to, okay, how do we get extra help with the run with a 7-man front while not sacrificing, while maintaining that kind of 5 defensive backs. And that 3-3 stack, the guy did a lot of innovative stuff. He was a very impressive coach. A lot of teams weren't ready for that when they switched. And to switch that defense up in the middle of the year, just on a bye, basically just having 2 weeks, and that was it. But it was pretty impressive. He was an innovator there.
Yeah. Pretty crazy stuff. All right, Chris, any final thoughts or anything before we get out of here?
No, just excited for the season to start, man. That's it.
Very good. Hey, we'll be back next week with some offense of Penn State looking at here, as Chris referenced earlier. Talk about some Rocco Beck, who I'm high on for this season, and wide receivers, running backs, offensive line that we touched on a little bit here as well. So we'll come back next week, same time, Thursday at noon, to get you the content there. So, Chris, thanks for coming on. Everybody, thanks for listening and watching to the Big Ten Huddle. This is your Penn State episode that we put out on Thursdays at noon, and we'll be back next week with the same thing. Have a good one. See you next time.
See